Hello and welcome to For Future Generations, episode 54. It is, am I seeing that right? The 8th of March already?
Yeah.
What a way to remember that time flies. I mean, I don't know what it's like wherever y'all are, but here in Texas, it is spring. I'm hoping it's spring. Everything's blooming, everything's budding, all the grass is green. And if we get another freeze, it's going to kill everything. It's going to be awful. But spring is in the air. The birds are singing. Everything is gorgeous and lovely, and we are happy. I am Jeffrey, once again joined, as always, by my friend Sean. Sean, how are you, man?
Well, March 8th means that my wife is now 2 days past her due date. So we are... we're on baby watch. We're on red alert. So
yeah. So if halfway through this, Sean kills his mic and jumps out of his chair, I'm going to have to bring this to a landing because he's going to be bringing something else to a landing, which is a new baby boy to this earth, or a baby girl, baby boy. I don't remember, but a little baby nonetheless. All right.
It's a boy. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, but anyway, little bit of housekeeping before you go. Like the video, share the video, tell your friends, tell your mom. Don't tell your mom. Tell your dad. Your dad will probably love this show. Your mom will probably hate it. But tell your friends, like, share, comment, subscribe, all the things. And if you are so inclined, if you are capable of doing so, support us, please, on buymeacoffee.com/for future generations. With that said, let's get into it. We have...
Oh, yeah.
Before anything else, though, we have a quick word. And now for a quick word from our sponsors. And our sponsors are Deus Volt lapel pins. Fellas, if you do not have beautiful lapel pins, if you're walking around in a shabby, old-looking suit and everybody's giving you side glances and they're like, is that Ted Kaczynski? He's going to blow up my house. Decorate it up with a little lapel pin. It'll make them a little less suspicious. And then instead of suspecting you of right-wing extremism, they will know that you are a right-wing extremist. But go to DeusVoltLapelPins.com, and they have some really, really wonderful products. Do not, and I will emphasize this, do not forget to use the code FFGDV26. FFGDV26 for 10% off your order. You'll get things such as these, which are out of stock, but you can click this button, notify me when available. These are the Jerusalem cross lapel pins with the colors of the church calendar. But do not fret, do not worry. That is not all he has. He also has denominational pins, 1689, the Lutheran Rose, the PCA, also known as the Boba Fett congregation.
The Boba Fett, yeah.
Yeah. Hilarious. Series C, for those of you who are in the Series C. Vanguard Presbyterian, which I don't know anything about. And also, this is the Irania Azure pin. I'm not sure if that's in the right place here, but definitely something to note. If you see that, that's what that is symbolizing. But we've also got lots of things. Patriotism, good old based pat right there, and no quarter Boniface stump. And this year is the 250th anniversary of the United States. And look, he's got a beautiful, beautiful pin to commemorate it. Who would not want one of these? Dude. But with that said, fellas, go to DeusVoltLapelPins.com. That's spelt out DeusVoltLapelPins.com. Stroke FFG, or the link is in the description. Use the code FFGDV26 at checkout for 10% off your order. And with that said, folks, let's get into the show. Boy, do we have a show. And, there a lot has gone on in the world, both online and off. I mean, people are getting killed left, right, and center. Everybody is just at each other's throats. But what's more important than that is people on Twitter are angry.
Yeah. They're quite angry.
You what?
Well, I'm probably the angriest of them because I was off Twitter, and then rather against my better judgment, I got back immediately. I was happy with people on there. Sorry, my wife made a show, so now I'm eating that. Who we want to start with? You know what? Let's start with. Is it this one? Yes. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen for this because I want people to see
just how wild and crazy.
Just how much of a. Oh boy. Is it that one? Yes. All right. Tell me if that's showing up good.
Yep, it's here.
Is that up there? Okay. Because I can't see. Oh, here we go. So we have here. I don't know who DG Hart is. Do you know who that is?
No, I've seen him on Twitter. I've not been impressed. He seems to be retarded. So,
okay. Yeah,
is what it is.
I will say this. I will say this though, that if he sees this, I really like this here. This right here is the right field wall of Shibe Park, which was called Connie Mack Stadium at the time of this picture. A lot of cool history with that, which I will not get into, but one of these days I might. It's my favorite ballpark of all time, so it was really interesting seeing that. He's a Phillies fan. The A's and the Phillies played in the same place at that time. But anyways, he says...
I'd imagine that would lead to a kind of rivalry.
Yeah, it's a very interesting part of baseball history. Barrett Press, he says, ominously. And then quotes, "We are a husband and wife team zealous to further God's glory by reprinting classical Puritan, Reformed, Covenanter, and antiquarian literature, as well as offering new works by ministers and laymen alike." Noble goal, sounds to me. I mean, it's not, my exact cup of tea these days, but all very good things.
There's a need.
There's a need for it. I mean, there's worse things people could be reading. If that's your... if you're within that that lineage theologically, then that's a great place to go. So then, so he just puts it out there, and all of our guys, of course, are like, based, because there's really nothing wrong with that. He just, a lot of these guys, they'll just put this stuff out there, like, look at them, look at these guys, as if we're gonna just cower in fear because we've been found out for the most wholesome thing. Like, isn't that picture? That's like the most wholesome husband and wife picture. Like, they're in a field.
Yeah. I mean, he's in a suit. She's in a vest. They're in a field. The sun is shining. Yeah. It's like, man, could it get any more kingly than this?
Yep. So then, resident fat retard John Reesner, however you say his name, pops in. That's Joseph Wiseman and his wife. He's a Christian convert and an ethnically Jewish immigrant to the U.S. from the UK, I believe. Odd pairing, in my honest opinion, especially considering that Joseph doesn't meet the crucial blood ties of ethnogenesis of Stephen Wolfe and his cohort. Just weird that he feels the need to pop in because, and you'll see this in his replies, he doesn't like that Stephen Wolfe is even friendly with an ethnically Jewish person. He doesn't like that.
Also, he says he's a Christian convert. Wiseman is not a convert. All right, you might be confusing him with some other converts, such as what's his name? Will Spencer, right? I forget his name. The guy who was off studying the blade while you were starting out in college and getting married and having kids. I studied the blade. Unironically.
And then he became an advice columnist. Suddenly he was like super alt-right and he hates Jews. Will Spencer.
And then he came back on that. Yeah,
and then
but
he said,
he's
actually,
a convert
who's on the inside, which is just the lamest thing that you can do. Anyways, back to the fat retard at hand.
Yeah,
John,
all this to say, Joseph Weissman has been a Christian his entire life and is very solid.
And I'll get,
he is not in the cage stage like a convert.
No. And so I just said, or you don't know what you're talking about, and this is a completely normal relationship between men in the Christian nationalism movement, which it is, right? He must have unblocked me because suddenly I can see things. But he because he got called out because I said, hey, this fat retard blocked me. So I'm just saying, this is a normal relationship. We have these kinds of relationships, right?
Yeah.
We don't build everything on that foundation like boomers will, where they're like, I'm not racist. I have a black friend from, well, I had one in elementary school, or you know what I mean? Like they'd kind of do that goofy thing. DG Hart, once again, jumps in.
Do you have any idea what he's talking about here? Go ahead and read it off. But
I don't know if that's supposed to be like a Seinfeld parody type thing, because if he would have said it without the picture, I would have assumed he was talking about Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Where he said, just like Christian nationalism is, which is not the thing. He just wants the hashtag in there. Watching HBO shows about secular Jews doing stand-up comedy. And so I had popped up, you don't have to be theoretical about it. Here's Joseph, the actual man being talked about on my podcast, the one you're watching right now, to talk about Hebrew of all things. Yeah, we've known this guy. Back when I was active on Facebook was when I really got to know him. He's a helpful person as far as resources. Obviously, that's why we reached out to him.
In languages. I mean, I don't speak or read Greek or Hebrew. Sean, you do Greek, but not Hebrew, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So we reached out to Joseph as a guy who has expertise in this language, and expertise, actually, not just familiarity. Like Sean, I think you would class yourself as familiarity, right? Not expertise.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is a true expert.
I don't keep up with it as I should. I would definitely have to lean on resources, but I would know what I'm looking at.
Exactly. But so, I mean, we brought him on, and we didn't necessarily agree with everything he said. Right. And there in that show, I pushed back on some of it. And the thing is, I'm coming at it from a non-expert's perspective. But here's the thing: you don't have to agree with everybody 100%. To still be friends. I mean, Ben Mordecai right now is on a tirade against anybody who is not trusting the plan, shall we say. And you know what? Ben's a bro. Ben is my friend. And we don't agree on this, but that's okay. Different fellas who will have different opinions on different subjects can still be friends because we have a shared identity and we have a shared commonality, a common faith, a common culture, and a common country. And that's what these people don't seem to understand.
Hey, Jeff, real quick, is my mic still choppy?
Well, go ahead and start talking again and we'll see.
Okay. I'm going to move it away from me if I have to. So yeah, I said it's possible, right? It's possible that you don't know what you're talking about because this happens all the time. He says, Sean, it's the words of Wolf. If he's inconsistent, then it's a blessed inconsistency. Now, a blessed inconsistency, right. that's an obvious charge, right? What he's trying to say is, Stephen Wolf says that he doesn't ever want to be friends with Jews. But yet here he is. Like that's the blessed inconsistent. It's good that he's inconsistent, but in reality, everyone in the Christian nationalism movement is consistent, and John Reasoner doesn't know what he's talking about because he's a fat retard.
Yeah, and here's the thing, guys.
This was
I've read the book. All right, this is a Deus Vult Lapelpin. See the link in the description. But I've read the book. Do you know how many times Stephen Wolfe references Jews? To the best of my recollection, never. Because he wasn't talking about Jews. He was talking about Americans, because he's an American. He's talking about his people. So if maybe he's talking about things said on Twitter, in which case maybe he would like to post a link to something. But to the best of my knowledge, this is, I mean, he's chasing windmills. He's chasing ghosts. I mean, this is literally has not happened.
Yeah,
he's making this up.
I'm reading this. I didn't see this yesterday because he blocked me and then posted it replying to this guy, David Kinner. So I'm seeing this for the first time. He said he's done the reading as many of us, and I've been listening to Wolf for years. He doesn't teach what you're saying. He's taught. You're just a fool. And then John Reasoner posts something
Bingo.
that he doesn't actually. Oh, that's why I didn't. So he blocked me and then did that because I did see these. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just people who have read Wolf. In fact, I remember back when the early editions of The Case for Christian Nationalism were going out, and the charge back then was Wolf isn't being racist enough. Like that was
right.
You know, some people were kind of joining the Panikin movement in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, there was a meme page that I follow on Facebook called Revenge of the Smirk. Follow it if you're inclined. It's funny. Don't give a full recommend. I mean, I don't endorse everything he says, but it's funny. But he posted a picture the other day of 2 reviews that he got on Facebook. One person said, "Do not recommend. This guy is obviously an Israel shill getting those $7,000. The next guy, "Do not recommend. This guy's an anti-Semitic fascist." It's like, you can't have it both ways, guys.
So basically, John Reasoner doesn't understand what ethnogenesis is, because what Wolf is saying is that in ethnogenesis, you essentially can bring people into that core of blood ties and kind of sprinkle in some people into that. Yeah. And it creates, it's the genesis of a new ethnicity. Mm-hmm. Now, that is not the same as saying, oh, we're this melting pot of the entire world and whatever, because clearly, like in writing, we can point to where American legislators wanted it to just be only European and mostly Western European.
Yeah, specifically.
Yeah, they were very.
Benjamin Franklin was a little suspicious of Germans. I tell you what.
Yeah. Well, that was an interesting one too. I mean, I don't want to go too deep down that rabbit hole, but their big issue was they didn't want people coming here and not speaking English. They're like, well, if we just let in as many as want to come here, then eventually German will be the language of America.
Yeah.
And we'd all
and that was
German,
a huge problem because before World War I and World War II, the majority of Europeans spoke German, at least as a trade language, if not as their first language. I mean, the German ethnicity ruled Europe, if not by fiat from the throne, in the townships, because they were just a majority of the continental Europeans were German ethnicity. And that was why, in World War I and World War II, Germany was an expansionist power. It's because they had a very high population and they needed land. The whole Bundesraum, the whole expansion because we need place for our people. That was a very real thing. And I mean, it's not anymore because at the end of World War II, we genocided 8 million Germans.
We're chasing some rabbits here, buddy.
Yeah. Anyway, to get back to it.
Yeah. So that's really all I have to say. Like, John Reasoner doesn't understand what he is saying. The fact that he just quotes this with the yawn emoji. Oh, you really got us with that one, bud. Or is that him? Yeah. Is that the emoji of him shoveling an excess amount of food into his fat, retarded face?
Not sure. Yeah. But I mean, ethnogenesis is something we've seen not just in the United States. I mean, we've seen this happen with African tribes that merged with each other. and people on the steppes coming in, Mesopotamia, very early Mesopotamia, pre-Alexandria Mesopotamia, saw this ethnogenesis where different people would come in and take over a culture, and the people would intermarry, their language would mix, and then what resulted from that was a new ethnos. It wasn't like, it was like but unlike both of the ethnicities that bound themselves together, and the United States is that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to read the section that he quotes here. He's like, he's just circling terms: blood ties, core ancestry.
Oh, he said the word blood.
Ooh. So here's the thing. My intent here, this is the words of Wolf. My intent here is not to discount or dismiss the importance of blood ties and ethnogenesis. So he just spent a bunch of time making it sound like he might be discounting blood ties. Right? So this is him saying, well, hold on, my extremely
radical
friends.
Extreme right-wing bros.
Yeah. People to my right. Hold on, I'm not discounting that. And he says it's fashionable, it's politically correct, and it could save him some trouble if he would just dismiss blood ties at all, which is what liberals like Reasoner do.
Which is what he wants Wolf to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It simply is the case that a community in blood is crucial to ethnicity. Who denies that? That's my question. Who would deny that? I remember seeing this goofy politician out of England, and he was supposed to be like the right-wing guy, but he was like crashing out. I don't remember exactly which. Is probably not one of the ones you're thinking of, but he was talking about, oh, it's wonderful. All these brown kids, whatever, they're English because they're going to grow up reading Shakespeare. And who was the other guy? He said, it was so funny that he said, the guy who wrote The Jungle Book. Who am I thinking?
I'm bad with names. I'm really bad with names.
So good too. Oh, that's killing me. Boy, if someone knows his name,
I'll look it up real quick.
He's written a bunch of really great stuff. He's got a poem. Kipling, thank you.
Kipling.
Thanks, Sultan. Rudyard Kipling has a whole poem that, Thomas Acord quotes it. That he was the first person that I had ever heard it from. He was quoting on like podcast or something. And it's basically about how he loves. Actually, you know what? If someone wants to share which one exactly that is, it's called like. What is it called? I'm just going to read the whole thing because it's so good. What's the one I'm thinking of? It's not the
white man's burden.
My white man's burden. It's not Gunga Din. No, it's boy, he's got a lot of really great stuff.
Yeah. If is probably his greatest of all time, but anyway.
Yeah, that one strikes you. Anyways, he basically talks about in that poem about like, I love my people. He says things like they tell the lies I tell. Like he's familiar with the things that they do, the ways they act, all this kind of stuff. But this other guy, he is not my neighbor. He cannot understand me, and I cannot understand him.
The stranger. You want me to read it?
The stranger? Yeah, if you got it.
The stranger within my gate, he may be true or kind, but he does not talk my talk. I cannot feel his mind. I see the face and the eyes and the mouth, but not the soul behind. The men of my own stock, they may do ill or well, but they tell the lies I am wanted to. They are used to the lies I tell. And we do not need interpreters when we go to buy and sell. The stranger within my gates, he may be evil or good, but I cannot tell what powers control, what reasons sway his mood, nor when the gods of his far-off land shall repossess his blood. The men of my own stock, bitter bad they may be, but at least they hear the things I hear and see the things I see. Whatever I think of them and their likes, they think the likes of me. This was my father's belief, and this is also mine. Let the corn be all one shaft or sheaf, and the grapes be all one vine, ere our children's teeth are set on edge by bitter bread and wine. And that is The Stranger Within My Gates, or The Stranger by Kipling.
So anyways, yeah, this politician's like, oh, they're these children, these Muslim brown children, they're going to grow up reading Shakespeare and Kipling and all these guys. And I was like, dude, Kipling would smack you right where you stand. Like, he would just strike you down right then and there if you try and use his work. But here's my question for guys like that. If that's what makes people English, why is Shakespeare English? Why do we think of him as an English playwright? Why do we think of Kipling as an English writer? What does it mean that these two people are English? That's my question. It's just out there. Answer that question, because they happen to live on the island of Albion. Like,
is it magic dirt?
Yeah. Did it just made them English? Like, William Shakespeare could have landed out of his mother's womb on any soil and still been the same William Shakespeare. I mean, they don't, to these people like Reasoner, it's all accidental. It's like when people try to say like, oh, you could have, statistically, because Indians are like, what, a sixth of the world or some crazy like that.
Yeah.
Like, you had a 1 in 6 chance of being Indian. No, I had 100% chance of being an American because both my parents were Americans. There was no option. I wouldn't have been me if I was born somewhere else. I wouldn't just have different aesthetics if I was born somewhere. Like, there is no alternate version of me. Like, that's not Christian thinking of God's creation and like begetting like. So that's my challenge for John Reasoner is, do you deny that a community in blood is crucial to an ethnicity? If not, is Liberia, is that America? Are those Americans over there? Because they have our Constitution word for word at one point in history, whatever exact year that was, that we cut them off and sent them back to Africa. That was it. They had our exact Constitution from that time. So is that America? Can we just send all of, every time Israel starts a war, can we send all the refugees to Liberia and they'll just be Americans and thrive because they have that Constitution? These people just don't think about what they're saying. So anyways, in closing on that one, John Reasoner is a fat retard. Next, we have lesbian aesthetics enthusiast Eli McGowan. Is that up on the screen?
It is.
Do I have that? No, I'll pull it up. Oh boy, this dude's something else, man. Golly, is that it? That's the one. That's what I want to share. Look at that, boy. Look at that picture. Oh my goodness. So for those who don't know, Eli is the one on the right. He is biologically a man. I know it's hard to tell there. Actually, my brilliant co-host Jeff did us the this is brilliant, dude. I unmade y'all gay. So look at this.
First off, the woman that he's with in this picture, this is what is her name?
Karen Swallow Pryor, is that right?
Yeah, Karen Swallow Pryor, which unfortunate name, but I mean, she has a reputation. All right. Yeah. She is a leftist. She is a liberal, and she's dressed like a man. And Eli here is a leftist and a liberal, and he is dressed like a woman. I mean, I used to carry a bag. All right. I was a bag carrier, especially because I like to go everywhere armed. And so I would keep it in the bag. And, he's one of the things that I always kept in mind whenever I selected my bag is I wanted something sufficiently masculine so that I didn't look like a woman with a purse. And, dude, you're wearing that way too low and the strap is way too thin. That's not a bag. That's a purse.
Yeah, I went through a phase where I had the satchel.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a satchel. Indiana Jones had one.
Yeah, but essentially, this I unmade y'all gay. What happened is I just told
Yeah.
Grok, hey, switch their clothes, and
Yeah.
it's funny too because I mean, he's standing like a woman, and she's standing like a man. I mean, if you look at the way that they're standing towards each
Yeah.
other, leaning in
Yeah.
and leaning out,
If you do
and
the line thing, yeah.
yeah, and Grok, when they changed their clothing, they made Eli into a more masculine man, and they made
Yeah.
Karen, Miss Karen, they made her into a more feminine woman. Just wild how even the computer knows.
Bro, it's just that's so funny to me, dude. Like that is an all-time banger, dude. Look at that. It's got 5 bookmarks because you know people have to go back to that.
It's a good
That's
one.
just the best, dude.
But
Oh,
anyway,
anyway, yeah.
You're bringing up
So,
this because Eli was saying something retarded.
Yeah, I'm about to pull that up. Sorry, guys. I'm not usually the guy who shares the screen. So
Yeah. He's been able to for a while, but I never actually went through and made him an admin so that he could do it. And so he's played a little catch up because I didn't.
am I
I didn't
sharing?
show him how to do this.
Oh, I didn't.
You have to add it to the
There we
stage. Oh, sorry. I double
clicked at
clicked
the
it.
same time as me, bro. We're a professional show here.
This is only the best duct tape, folks.
Yeah.
But go ahead and read it off to us because it's a bit small. But
So, yeah,
or
lesbian
maybe
aesthetics
summarize because it's
enthusiasts.
got a lot of language.
Yeah, this first post at least, I think all of these very important because you have to hear the way that he says this. Eli McGowan says, some actual Kinis and associates of Kinis are falsely calling any ministry effort aimed at a particular people Kinis. So he's, pause real quick. He is responding to people took a Black Power church plant type thing, and they used AI to make it white people. And so the language of it was like, we're going to reach Black people and we're going to make Black people powerful and that kind of thing. And so he basically just changed that and made the couple white. And someone had asked him, what do you think of this? Is this kinism? And he was like, well, I don't really like the wording. Well, okay, but
yeah,
why are you suddenly tiptoeing?
He was forewarned, forearmed. Okay, he saw this coming, which is why he was so mealy mouthed about it. If he didn't know that it was just a black church made white, I guarantee you he would have been out with knives sharpened for whoever these people were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he continues. Using this logic, Jim Elliot was Kinis for ministering to the, I don't know how to pronounce that, Wadani? It doesn't matter. But this is ridiculous. He was ministering far away from hearth and kin. Yeah, so what makes it, apparently, what makes it not Kinist is that he was ministering to another race of people. So that's why Jim Elliot wasn't a Kinist.
So you're a Kinist, it's not Kinist if you're ministering to non-whites.
Right. So Paul the apostle was not a Kinist because his kinsmen according to the flesh were Jews, and he was an apostle to the Gentiles. So even though he was reaching, I guess you could say, to Jews, it's either Jews or not Jews, right? Like that's it, right? Like that's how they think of everyone. There's Jews and there's cattle. There's my people, and then there's the slave class, right? So that's right. The apostle Paul is like, I'm reaching the Gentiles. I want to reach the whole world. But then I guess Peter would be a Kinist because he's reaching exclusively Jews and is a Jew. Funny that. Continues, denominations with agencies for outreach are reaching outside to minister to people who don't look like the average denominational member, because that's what matters, right? You have to continuously be changing the aesthetics of the denomination, right? You cannot reach people that look like you, which for the record would be like the strongest outreach plan would just be everyone reaching people who are at least close to them. And then you would branch out from there. So for instance, if we, instead of like trying to reach all of Central and South America, just focused on Mexico, and then Mexico would start reaching Central American countries because they're a little bit more like them, right? They're not exactly like them, still park the cars on the lawn, but they're, you know, a little different dialect or whatever it is. It's still tacos and rice and whatever, but they use different parts of the cow, or I don't know. I don't really think there's many cultural differences, honestly, guys. So Eli just bestowing wisdom on us. Actual kinism is teaching that God says, or teaching that says God has ordained a system of separation and hierarchy and which forbids lawful marriage. I'm going to come back to that. You can assume influencers who still hang out with actual racists, trademark, don't care about the false teaching of kinism when they accuse the PCA and other denominations of the practice for bringing the gospel or church membership to people underrepresented in our pews. I don't care who's underrepresented in your pews, bro. I'm just whoever's there, whoever walks in, you know, they want to worship Christ. We're not kicking them out. We're not sending them away.
Yeah, I mean, the means of grace, the table is open to those who come to the church and are members thereof.
Yeah. And if you would like to be a member, hit me up and we can get you in. 48 retards thought this was a banger. But 12 faithful disciples thought mine was a banger. I said, I've seen you call people kinist who are in interracial marriages. You have zero credibility. Now, this is true. I wasn't thinking of one particular guy, but I'm not surprised that Eli responded, Ethan Holden is absolutely a kinist. Okay, that's his words, right?
A little bit of a problem there.
Yeah. Earps Canoe Company, good guy, good follow.
Follow him.
Mm-hmm. Follow him. I think I'm following him. That'd be really embarrassing if I wasn't and I'm telling people to follow him. He says, can't be. He doesn't forbid interracial marriage. You said that was a requirement to be a kinist. Eli says it's one of the teachings of kinism. Like it's definitional to kinism, right? Do you think Holden is in favor of interracial marriage? And I asked, are you asking if we believe Ethan is in favor of his own marriage? I can't believe that he asked that. Do you think Holden is in favor of interracial marriage?
Let me think that one through real hard here.
Yeah. By the way, I'm always proud to say that, like, Ethan, everyone knows, like, Ethan's a very generous person, right? His family is just like, their outreach, they make people feel like they're part of something, like they're part of this family, right? I don't know why you're laughing, but that's like, I'm serious though. Like he sent, so for instance, he sends these Christmas ornaments out. They hand make these ornaments. I mean, I think both brothers are involved in that. But
there is, I don't know anybody who has been more kind to me that has not met me in person than the Holden brothers. I mean, they are just the salt of the earth. And for people to be just like, and I mean, he comes to my part of the world periodically, and it's just been ships in the night. And for people to be like, oh man, those evil Holden brothers. I mean, even Moscow, just like, oh, don't go near the Holden brothers. They're going to steal your soul. And I'm like, dude, these guys are excellent. To people they have never met. I mean, he clears out time in his day to talk to people on the phone. And he's a busy guy. I mean, this guy runs multiple companies. And I mean, for somebody to come in and be like, oh man, the Holden brothers, Ethan, just really bad people. It is laughable. It is silly beyond understanding.
So where I was going with this is like, I keep these two framed pieces up here. Ethan just asked his wife to make them for me when he sent the yearly thing. I think this came with something else though. You know what it was? He knows I'm a huge Moby Dick fan, which he is not, by the way. So it wasn't like he was like, oh, Kindred Spirit, here we go. But he said, I have a really cool Jonah and the whale thing that his wife had made him. And he said, I'll get her to make you a Moby Dick version of it. And it's freaking cool, dude. Like, I love this thing. And then like this last Christmas, she makes me a Luther's Rose thing, which I went and framed because it's just really well made. It's custom, like it's drawn out and
painted.
Colored.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah, it's just really, really nice. And all that to say, love me some Holden brothers, and their wives are great to everyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're just good
their
people.
wives don't know these people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, Ethan, I didn't want this to be about you, but Eli started, you know, he named you by name, and
If
I'm
your
like, okay,
mentions are blowing up, I apologize.
Yeah, sorry about that, dude. I really wasn't trying to make it about you, but there's people that he might not even, Eli probably doesn't even know he's telling you're a racist, and they've got like a 90-day fiance type situation, right? Like one of those kind of things.
Never ask a right-wing libertarian the ethnicity of his wife, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's just really frustrating. Lewis Henley, who is very loose with his language, is you can just read that for yourself. That's such a funny movie.
One of these days I'm going to have to watch that movie because it is so quoted.
Oh, it's so funny, dude. Yeah. Oh man.
Which I don't know if you saw this, but it kind of ties into the second half of this segment when we'll get into Iran. But the actor Ben, what's his face, the Jewish guy, who's
Ben Stiller,
Ben Stiller,
whose work I love, yeah,
who is a funny guy. Okay,
he's a funny dude, man.
The Jews, for all their problems, guy, man, they are funny people. They are very talented.
They really know
funny,
how to shuck and jive.
Smart people. They do, and I love them for it. But man, I tell you, so the White House put out an edit where they put a bunch of movie edits and clips and things along with explosions, just very brouhaha, macho man stuff. And Ben Stiller had a meltdown, and he's like, "War is not a movie." And then everybody in the comments is just posting, especially Tropic Thunder, but a lot of Ben Stiller movies that are war movies. And they're like, dude, what are you talking about? War is not a movie. Not all of your movies, but a significant portion of your successful movies are about war and how it's funny.
There's a great scene.
Get over yourself.
Or it's an episode of Seinfeld where Jerry Stiller, who is Ben Stiller's amazing father, he's another great comedian. He was Frank Costanza in Seinfeld, and
that's his dad. I had no idea.
Oh yeah, and he was. They'll even have like in what is the other show that he was in? King of Queens. In the King of Queens, he was the wife's dad that lived with them, and they would do like flashbacks of like him and his father, and it would be Ben Stiller as his father. So like
perfect.
So anyways, Jerry, like there's a scene where he's like in Korea or something like that, and he was a cook. So like the whole story is that Frank Costanza is trying to get over his PTSD of cooking because he was a cook in the army. And so it's like he's like, I sent 50 of my men to the latrines that night. Like it was like a whole like that's his PTSD is because he over-seasoned the meat that was bad, and it was like a whole thing. So anyways, of course there's jokes to be had about war. Like there's a saying that I always use when I think of things like that, is that you have to laugh to keep from crying. And we do that because obviously war is hell. We just had 6 people of the Iowa National Guard, or was it Reserve? I don't remember. The Army out of Iowa. 6 people died, and that sucks, man. Like that's why for the record, you know what? I'll use this as a transition into the Iran thing. When I said years ago I'm already against the next war, I meant even if it's a Republican president sending us to war. I don't care. I know that there's strategic reasons or whatever that we have to overthrow the government in Iran. I don't care. The life of one American is of infinitely more worth than whoever is celebrating in the streets now that we went and killed a man for being the king of Persia or whatever, right? And there's memes that have come out of it that I've laughed, like the Greek Navy was getting involved in this, and they're like,
Yeah, it's like Greece and Persia are at war. Yeah, it's like in other news, man has discovered fire.
Yeah. So when I say I'm against this war, I'm against the United States getting involved in any. It's silly, man. Like we don't need to be doing. We just got done with the longest war of all time. The American War was probably much longer. It was like 100-year wars, but the longest American war of all time. That just ended in the Biden presidency. It started when I was in 7th grade. I was there 15 years ago. Like, that's how long. Like, it's just this incredibly long conflict. Let's pump the brakes a little bit, guys. Anyways, I don't even know if you're about to say that this is a good thing or a bad thing, but that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah,
tired, boss.
Yeah. I mean, and before we get into this, we'll hit comments, but just wanted to say, I mean, the header on my Twitter profile has been, how mileage tickers on older cars, they would roll over, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the Iran ticking over into Iraq.
No, it's Iraq ticking over.
Or Iraq ticking over into Iran. I mean, this is right here, right? And it just says the war is not meant to be won, but to be continued. That's a quote from George Orwell. And the point of that was just to say, look, guys, I don't like forever wars. I've seen this coming. I mean, that meme is like 10 years old. We've known this was coming for a long time. And there's a reason. There's a reason we've seen it coming. And it's because this isn't our war.
Dude, that meme, that meme's like 25 years old, dude. I remember seeing that in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was so maybe not, it was at least 20.
Yeah. Time flies, man. It feels weird to think that, I was in high school back in 2012. I mean, that's weird. That's wild. But anyhow, let's hit some comments real quick. Ben Alpaca says, your top fan is back. Ben, good to see you.
Go.
I'm going to go a little out of order here because somebody else said something about being a top fan. Let me scroll down and find it. Let's see. Ben Z. Kopf says, your top fan is back. If that may or may not be the same Ben, if that is the same Ben, then you, sir, are our top fan. If these are two competing Bens, then I must say you have a choice, gentlemen. Pistols or swords.
Yep.
All right. Pistols or swords. There can only be one. But he says, continuing on, Ben Alpaca says, every nation had an ethnogenesis at some point. That's right. My ancestors primarily hail from Prussia, right? Germans, northeastern Germany. And, these days, northern Germany, right? And the Prussian people's ethnogenesis was when a bunch of knights came from the Holy Lands and fought a crusade in northern Europe and integrated with the people of this northern Germanic tribe. And it was a conglomerate at one point in history. It's not anymore. It became a distinct ethnos. And now they're part of a larger ethnos, which is the German nation. But every nation has an ethnogenesis. The English, or Great Britain, you could say, the Irish, Welsh, English, and Scottish. The genetic similarities between the Irish, the Welsh, and the English is so close that it's hard to see a difference on paper when you look at the genome, which we can do. Irish people will get very mad when you say this, but the difference between Irish and Englishmen genetically, there is none.
That might not even be the best example because the Irish were Gauls at some point. Is that how that worked?
Yeah, I mean they were Celts. Yeah, they were Celtic people who came from northern Spain, I believe, and landed in Ireland. But eventually they became pretty much indistinguishable from Englishmen through an
or it's like how
miscegenation, which is
what,
normal history.
the one that trips me out, and this came up in something I was reading. I was doing more Robin Hood study stuff, and it was talking about the Normans, right? Well, the reason that place is called Normandy is because the Northmen, the Vikings, came in and established it
and occupied.
But by the time the Norman invasion happened, they weren't considered Vikings anymore.
They were considered French.
It's the same people.
Yeah, and they no longer spoke a Germanic tongue. They spoke a French tongue, a Frankish tongue, which was adopted.
Yeah. So they came. That's the perfect example. You have these Northmen become kind of French, and then they go into the English and become kind of English, and then so. I mean, ethnogenesis does exist.
It happens constantly. Yeah.
Much of the debate is whether or not the ethnogenesis that is trying to be forced through in this year and the last, I don't know, since the 60s, if that is a good ethnogenesis. That's much of the debate. There is
it's not whether or not it's happening, because everybody knows it's happening. Yeah.
Right.
Ben Alpaca again says, America's difference to example European nations is that their ethnogenesis was fairly recent. Yeah, it was fairly recent in the grand scheme of things. I mean, 250 years, like we're talking about. Actually, really closer to 400 years when you consider when the first Europeans came over here.
Yeah, but
Ben Mordecai, mentioned him earlier. Hello, gentlemen. Ben, good to see you, man.
Friend of the show. Had him on. See our previous work. Yeah. Reformed Rogue says, good evening. Good evening, sir. Good to see you. Ben again says, working on a mega article on this topic. That topic being Iran. Yeah, he's let us know not about John Reasoner being a fat retard. Though you should write a mega article about that.
It would be fun. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it, and I will read it. He also has a Substack, guys. Look up Ben Mordecai's Substack. The link for that is in our show that we did with him. You can find it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Chris Hookins, evening, men. Good evening, sir. Good to see you.
Love you, buddy.
Ben Mordecai, Het is an OPC bigwig.
He's saying talking about
Reasoner.
Yeah.
Well, OPC, get your guy. Really big deal in the OPC. Yeah. He says he's behind a lot of the media of the OPC, so he controls the narrative coming out of there.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
This is the guy who controls their narrative. That's great. Great. Rabidly anti-Christian nationalist. What else is new?
Yeah.
Reformed Rogue says, yes, that was Will Spencer talking about the recent comfort. Yeah, I if I'm not mistaken, Spencer has only been a Christian for 5 years, and he's supposed to be some guiding light.
Yeah.
And literally charges young men money to give them life advice.
And he was a right-winger for less time than that.
Yeah. But
he's the expert. He's Doug Wilson's go-to guy. Hey man, I was a virulent anti-Semite like a year ago. I'm your expert. I was like, well, what happened in a year? Did you receive $7,000 or what happened, bud?
Yeah. Sultan says, get it right. He was getting high at Burning Man.
Well, he's also doing that.
Yeah. He was studying the blade. He was getting high at Burning Man. He was doing all of the stuff.
He posted the goofiest picture and was like, you should be jealous of me. Like he had this goofy rant.
He was wearing monk robes and with a katana. He was literally the meme of, I was studying the blade, but he meant it. And it's just wild. The other Paul says, I am racist and I have black friends.
Let's go, baby.
That's right.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, I don't care what race you are as long as you're racist. Right?
Oh, what if what Ben was saying here was actually your top fan is black? What if that's what he was trying to say? Ooh, intrigue.
Interesting.
Tech Tunnels was covering us. Kipling.
Thank you. Stranger. Thank you. Very, very much appreciated. John C. Barstoom says, Happy Lord's Day. Yes, Happy Lord's Day to those who are enjoying us on a Sunday evening. Some people may be watching this tomorrow. Some people are watching this today. Looking at you, Aussie bros.
Yeah.
Glad to have you. Check for Tunnel says, Look, honey, our son came out Indian. You know, there was a 1 in 6 chance of this happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
Don't roll
how this
that dice.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's just, there's a 1 in 6 chance. No, ask some questions, man. Ask some questions.
Yeah.
The other Paul says, I think we need to stop asking actors like Reasoner, do you guys believe or deny this? As though we are speaking to rational men who can think through their views. They just need to be shamed and bullied. There's a place for that. But I think pointing out contradictions and asking questions is good, not necessarily for the person to whom you are speaking, but to the people who are watching from the sidelines. Remember that anytime you're having public discourse, your audience is not the person that you are debating with, right? If you're on stage in a moderated debate, your audience is not the guy at the other table. It'd be great if you could get that guy to change his view, but the odds of that happening are very low. Your audience is the audience. And Twitter, for all of its faults, is a public debate forum. It is the public square. And your audience is everybody who's liking, tweeting, resharing, and thinking about the things that have been said. And to the people who say, man, the internet never changes anybody's mind, we are both proof that that is not true.
Yeah.
All right. Sean is a Lutheran.
Yeah.
All right. He was not always a Lutheran. And the beginning of that trek started with arguing with people online about the fundamentals of his faith. I am a Calvinist. I was not always a Calvinist. And the reason that happened is because I went to college and met Calvinists and realized they weren't all evil people who believed that human beings were robots. But it also had a lot to do with the fact that on Twitter, I was engaging with reformed dialectic and having to grapple with the arguments. So when people say the internet is not real life, guys, the internet is real life. It is not all of real life, but it is real life. Check for Tunnel says, Vodi Bakum proudly admitted his ministry was aimed at Africans here and in Africa for years.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? Good. Yep. Somebody needs to reach them because the church, the Black church in America, the African American church, is in dire straits. It is full to the brim of heresy, of just every kind of heresy you could imagine, but especially, works salvation and name it and claim it. And what do we call colloquially the give me money and go to heaven kind of situation? But they're full of that, where it's like, man, you got to donate so I can buy a private jet, and then God will get you into heaven and he'll bless your prayers if you give me money. I mean, that is the African American church, and we need good African American pastors like Vodi Bakum to target that and take it down, because it is destroying the Christian African American church. Sir Vilder says, wait, you're going to hit us? I thought you like us. Is this in reference to Iran or something? Who knows? Who knows? Ben Mordecai, Mordstack article will defend the war. So he's pro-war in Iran. Like we mentioned, we are anti-war in Iran. But I want to hear his reasoning. And he continues, all of this will be addressed in my article. And he says, love you guys. Ben, we love you too. We love you too.
Let me say this, because I think Ben, I know Ben is coming out and saying like, well, I'm going to defend the war. I'm not going to fight you on that. I'm not a pacifist. I think where I'm coming from is the Eisenhower idea, where he said, I hate war as only a soldier could. More or less, that's what he said. And he really encapsulates for me that thought of like, I'm just kind of tired of it. Robert E. Lee, I've got his quote back here. I won this at one of my SCV raffles, which are I'm always like, oh, I hope I win. He says, it is well that war is so terrible, lest we should grow too fond of it. Because you can think about it, you can get hyped up about it, and I'll see some of this imagery and I'll be hyped up about it if it's the imagery I think it is, because people are like painting memes on the side of their jet fighters now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool, man. I'm cool with that, but at the same time, it's so tiresome. Just
Mhm.
constantly being at war. It's hard to get hyped about doing that again.
And it would be one thing if it was an existential war. It'd be one thing if it was, solid stakes, table stakes. But what you have in these wars is they're just forever wars in the Middle East on behalf of a foreign country that hates us. And we'll get into that. But it really just, I mean, if it was our war, it'd be easier to get behind it, but it's not. It really does not serve us well. And I'm sure Ben is going to tell us how it does and all of that. But I'm not excited, but I still love the A-10 Warthog. When it comes in and you hear that brrr, and you watch the plane slow down and you see the ground blow up, man. The only thing I love more than amazing military machinery and explosions is living a peaceful life among my brethren. Check for Tunnel says Normans were still distinct from the other French in 1066, though probably not as much today. Yeah, they were. And Norman French was different than Parisian French. That's true. And then he says the other difference for American ethnogenesis is that most of the time it is invading men taking war brides. Genetic records show it's not a good time for the men on one side. Yeah, a friend of mine one time was looking at his 23andMe genome, and he's a Brit. He's lived in Britain his entire life, and all of his ancestors are from there, Northern England. And he dug in there, and there's a little bit of Northman genetics. And he's like, man, how did that get there? Probably not consensually.
Through axes and swords.
Yeah, axes and swords and rape and pillage. DG Hart. Oh, he's talking about not Reisner, but DG Hart is the guy who's in charge of.
So this guy, this DG
that's not
Hart,
great either, guys.
Yeah, he's the big propaganda guy, but like he says crazy things like that on Twitter that are like old man ramblings. Like no wonder the OPC is in the toilet. It's not just because they're Presbyterian. It's because they got goofy people like this at the helm. Crazy. Yeah. Anyways,
well, with that, I think we'll put a star in this and we'll come back to comments at the end of the show because we are running out of time. And we will move on to the war in Iran. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about is why the war in Iran. What is the reasoning that got us into this? And this Ross Atkins, don't give him a follow because he's a BBC news anchor, but he did some really good analysis here. And I'm just going to play this video through. I'm going to play this at 1.2 speed. Just so that we can get through it, okay? But let's sit down and take a listen because this is really eye-opening.
Why is America doing this? After he'd started the war, President Trump said this.
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
The US hasn't provided evidence of an imminent threat, but that was the argument. President Trump also addressed Iranians.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. America is backing you with overwhelming strength.
In other words, a war in support of regime change. 2 days later, the administration said this.
This is not a so-called regime change war, but the regime sure did change.
But the regime hasn't changed, not yet at least. And there was more.
The mission of Operation Epic Fury is laser focused. Destroy Iranian offensive missiles, destroy Iranian missile production, destroy their navy and other security infrastructure, and they will never have nuclear weapons.
After US action last year, Trump said Iran's nuclear program had been obliterated. Before that, US intelligence had concluded Iran wasn't building a nuclear bomb. But this war, we were told, was to stop that happening and to destroy parts of Iran's military. That was the Secretary of Defense. We also heard from the Secretary of State.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces.
Mr. Rubio explained this meant the US had to start the war.
We knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties.
The US has responded to an Israeli plan, Marco Rubio said. Not so, said the president. Iran, he argued, was ready to act.
I think they were going to attack first, and I didn't want that to happen. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand.
The US provided no evidence that Iran was about to attack. And Marco Rubio was asked about his comments.
So the argument here is, oh, Iran was going to attack us. Remember, we discussed last week with Jeff Younger, the elder. We said, they were agreeing to the peace talks. They had declared a fatwa on anyone pursuing a nuclear weapon. That's internal. That's not something they're doing just for us. That is internal. And that's as verified as it can get, guys. These people were not pursuing nuclear weapons. And now the argument that they're presenting is, well, we had to attack Iran because Israel was going to. And if Israel attacked Iran, Iran would attack us. So we had to attack first. That is not just war theory. Okay. And then Rubio, the next day after he made that comment, is asked about it. This is his response.
Yesterday, you told us that Israel was going to strike Iran, and that's why we needed to get involved. Today, the president said that Iran was going to get.
Yeah, your statement is false. So that's not what I was asked very specifically. Were you there yesterday?
But that
Yeah, he said, no, I didn't say that. Were you there yesterday? And but Ross doesn't put this in the video, but he asked her, were you there yesterday? And she says, yeah, I was the one who asked the question. Right? And he's telling her, no, that wasn't what was asked. That wasn't what I said. My guy, we have it on video.
Yeah,
that's what
I didn't
you
have
said.
To be there, but I was.
Yeah, I didn't have to be there, but I literally was the person who asked, and that was the answer you gave. And his response was just mealy-mouthed nonsense.
That was what he said. The Trump administration has also been talking further about Iran's nuclear program. Officials claim Iran possessed 11 bombs worth of enriched uranium, and that it could have turned it into weapons-grade nuclear material within a week. The administration has not shared evidence of this, and didn't mention it when the war started. Perhaps there's also a personal dimension to this. Trump told ABC News, with reference to Iran's supreme leader, I got him before he got me. Trump added, they tried twice. Well, I got him first. ABC reported this was a reference to what US intelligence believes was a plot in 2024. For whatever reason, Trump started this war, and he's being asked about how long it might last.
We projected 4 to 5 weeks, but we have capability to go far longer than that.
On Truth Social, he added, wars can be fought forever, and very successfully. And as the world watches this war...
Isn't that what you want to hear, Sean? Wars can be fought forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we signed up for Trump because we didn't want a forever war in the Middle East, and now he's telling us forever war in the Middle East.
Yep.
Man, that's just all kinds of depressing, isn't it? And isn't it funny how every time they talk about it, it grows, right? It was supposed to be a 2-day operation, then it turned into a 4-day operation. Now it's a 5-week operation. I mean, we're over a week into this already, and there's no end in sight. Because just like the Vietnam War, we don't have a win, right? We don't have anything we're pursuing that is the end of this. So why did we get into this war? Well, Marco Rubio told us we got into this war because Israel was going to attack them, and we needed to be there to attack first. There's your answer. We are in this war because Israel. Okay, those are his words. Yeah. We are in this war because Israel.
And the reason that the reason that American wars have not really been winnable since, I would say, Korea and forward is because essentially you have this idea of winning hearts and minds. So when we went to war against Germany, not the Nazis, Germany, the country of Germany, I hate when people say that. We went to war against the Nazis. No, you went to war against Germany, and then you bombed citizens of Germany.
With white phosphorus, which is a war crime.
Right. Anyways. Yeah. Got a comment there that made me laugh. So, yeah, winning hearts and minds is the big, that's how they say it in the army. And so the whole idea is that you're fighting the government, but not the people. Right. So you have to be really nice to the people, but you're going to, gently remove or just snipe off, however you got to do it, the leader of those people, whether or not they voted them in. Right. Because that's I've gotten that spat on Twitter this week was someone just talking about when the Nazis took over. Well, hold on. You mean when they were duly elected?
When they were duly elected and the most popular government in Europe. Yeah. And the thing about
putting things out like,
I mean, it's like we're going to win hearts and minds. What, by killing their mothers and children? by killing their dads, we're going to win their hearts and minds. How does that work? How exactly is that supposed to work? It doesn't. It just doesn't make sense. You can't win hearts and minds at the point of a gun. Nobody in the history of ever has won hearts and minds at the point of a gun.
Yep.
So
So that's just my rant on why we haven't won a war since like World War II.
yeah. So one thing I want to remind us, and we talked about this last week, the opening salvo of this war is we were in negotiations with them and we bombed the negotiation room.
Yeah.
Okay. And then a few days later, we opened negotiations for a ceasefire and we bombed the negotiation room again. So every time they get together to talk to us, we kill them. And the result of that is Igor Holmogorov, Russian publicist and political thinker, the lesson from the U.S. attack on Iran is simple. Negotiations with the U.S. are just a cover for preparing an attack. Long drawn-out talks will only hide the planning of a long, large-scale strike by Washington. Yeah, and we've got the most Bavarian-looking Russian to present this. But why would I negotiate with terrorists? Right? Everybody knows you don't negotiate with terrorists, and the United States have shown ourselves to be terrorists. We open a negotiation just so that we can attack you, just so that we can kill you. Why would you subject yourself to that? So opening salvos, we killed their negotiators. And then, later, it was on Talk TV on, I believe it was CBS News. Somebody was asking an Iranian official, so are y'all not interested in a ceasefire? And he said, we're not offering a ceasefire because every time we do, they kill us. So there's no path to peace right now. There is no path to peace. We shot that. We executed that. We killed it in the cradle because we don't want peace. We want to kill them. What do we want from that? Who knows? Who knows? But also, we've been hitting all of their infrastructure. And by we, I mean us and Israel. But Israel hasn't just been striking Iranian stuff. They've also been hitting probably some other people. And I'll get into who is the most likely culprit. I am going to talk about this a little bit. But let's hear this real quick.
Let's just update you with some of the latest information that we're getting from the Ministry of Defence, and this is about UK military use around the Gulf. We're hearing overnight RAF Typhoon and F-35B jets continue defensive air operations across the Middle East with support from Voyager air-to-air refuelling in defence of British interests and allies. Important, I think, that the word defensive operations and defence is included in that from the Ministry of Defence, as Keir Starmer's made very clear that is what UK troops are doing, defensive operations only. They can also confirm that a Shaheed-like drone, which targeted RAF Akrotiri on the 2nd of March, that was the drone that came in at midnight. They are saying that that was not launched from Iran. So that is interesting and significant. They are not giving us any information as yet as to where they think that was launched from. But a drone that hit RAF Akrotiri, that was the one I think that caused damage to the airstrip, did not come from Iran, was not launched from Iran, obviously may well have come via Iran. And in the last 24 hours, the UK has resupplied air defence systems to British and allied bases across the region, including UK-built air defence missiles, and that Royal Navy Wildcat helicopters armed with Martlet missiles capable of taking out aerial threats are arriving in Cyprus in the coming days. That is all we have in terms of an actual time frame. The coming days could be as long as a week, some would possibly argue.
So what we have here is Cyprus. For those who don't know, Cyprus is an island in the Middle East. And this island, which is right here, you see the top half is orange. Cyprus is being invaded by Turkey. Turkey wants Cyprus. They want to occupy and control it. And there are military bases in Cyprus that are staffed by the UK. And those UK bases are essentially there to tell Turkey, hey, you can't invade the rest of Cyprus and take it over. The Greek Cypriots do not want to be ruled by Turks. All right, this is an ancient battle that goes all the way back to the Ottoman Empire. Cyprus, the Turks want to take over Cyprus. The Greeks want Cyprus to remain Greek. This has been going on for 1,000 years. And Europe is kind of telling Turkey, hey, put a parking brake on it. You can't proceed any further south onto the island. Well, those bases were struck by somebody here. somebody here. And that drone, that Shahed style drone, the Shahed drone is an Iranian style drone, and it's a very excellent piece of military material that the West has deconstructed, reverse engineered, and copied. And we have taken that and implemented it into our own technology because it is so good. As we were saying last week with Jeff, Iranian missile and drone technology is the best in the world right now. The Russians have been buying their missiles and their drones from Iran for their war in the Ukraine. So we have done this, but other countries have also been taking these Shahed style drones and reverse engineering them and using them to great effect. There are really two candidates for who could have launched this. Possibly three, but really only two. Syria, Lebanon, Israel. Why would the Lebanese launch a drone to attack the British military bases on Cyprus? Nobody would know why, right? Cui bono? Cui bono? Who benefits? Why would the Syrians, although the Syrians don't have very good military tech right now. I mean, during the fall of the Assad regime, Israel came in and bombed the heck out of everything military in Syria, as well as several seats of government, large metropolitan areas. Israel just essentially handicapped Syria as soon as they were able to. So the two likely candidates now are Lebanon and Israel. And Lebanon doesn't really have a motive for this. The Lebanese people are not super friendly with Iran at the moment. Their military has been sort of boasted by Iran in the past, but recently Iran has almost entirely pulled out of the area. But Israel, when we talk about cui bono, who benefits, Israel has a very good reason to blow things up in Cyprus, because the UK, if they got involved in the Iran war, the UK is a very small island, but their military is actually very advanced and very, very good. So they would actually have a reason to want to bring Iran into this war. And some people would say, oh, that's far-fetched, that's conspiracy theory, why would you say such a thing? But why are they not mentioning the fact that Israel is obviously suspect here? And some people in the comments underneath this video are pointing out that the trajectory of this drone doesn't seem like it's coming from Lebanon. It seems like it's coming from Israel. And people talking about, Israel launched a false flag attack to drag the UK into war, and the UK government is so cucked that they still can't even name Israel as the perpetrator. It does seem like that.
What is that map showing? What is exactly? I know it's showing the alleged
theoretical trajectory of this drone
based on
where it struck and where it was coming from when it did strike. The slight curve of this trajectory is due to the curvature of the Earth. They essentially do a straight line down from the direction which the drone came. So it is theoretically possible that this thing flew out from Lebanon, hooked a right, and then struck. But if you just draw a straight line...
Maybe it came from the West Bank or the Gaza Strip. Maybe it's those bad guys. They need to be eliminated. Somebody do something about them.
You say that kind of tongue in cheek, but it is actually technically possible that could be. But the thing is, one of the things that people are pointing out is if it was anyone other than Israel, they would have already published the name of the country.
Yes.
All right. This is a very heavily surveilled area. We know where that, when I say we, our intelligence knows where that drone came from. All right. We have satellites, we have radar, we have all kinds of stuff looking at where stuff comes from. If it had been another country, I guarantee you that it would have been named. And there are other countries that have been struck by such explosions. And that would be, and let me pull back up the map just so that we can see, Saudi Arabia Qatar, the United Arab Emirates have all had their infrastructure struck here in this Gulf, the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, the Strait of Hormuz. That whole area has been very heavily bombarded. Kuwait has been really getting the raw end of this deal, but nobody's talking about it because who cares about Kuwait right now? They're really, really not an entity to be taken seriously in large-scale war at the moment. But here we have Iran. Comes out, says Iran officially denies the missile and drone attacks on Turkey, Cyprus, and Oman, saying it respects the sovereignty of those countries. This raises serious concerns. If not Iran, then who is behind these attacks? All right. So Turkey also has been being struck. Oman has been being struck. Saudi Arabia also was not mentioned there. Iran and Saudi Arabia don't like each other. So even if Iran isn't the one who struck these Saudi Arabian assets, they noticed the verbiage there. They respect the sovereignty of those countries. What they're saying is they do not respect the sovereignty of Saudi Arabia. They're not saying that they necessarily are the ones who perpetrated those attacks, but they are saying that they don't respect them, which is kind of funny. This is a good follow. Megatron, he posts a lot of copy pasta. I mean, he's not a source, but he posts a lot of things from other people, and he's been pretty reliable. But he posts this video where Saudi expert confirms to Al-Aribaya arrest of Mossad agents in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. So there were a bunch of Israeli agents arrested in Qatar and Saudi Arabia who were trying to blow things up. And this is, there are many sources for this. You can do your own homework on it, but it's not a secret. Israeli agents, Mossad agents, were arrested with bombs. All right, this is reminiscent of that stuff that was going on. You remember a few weeks ago, Sierra published work in South America, in especially the borders of Brazil, Chile, and Argentina, where they're burning down the forests, and these people have ties to the Mossad. This is something that Israel does. All right. And for those who say, no, Israel would never do that. Here's a little Wikipedia article, the Lavon Affair. The Lavon Affair was a failed Israeli covert operation codenamed Operation Susanna, conducted in Egypt in the summer of 1954. As part of a false flag operation, a group of Egyptian Jews were recruited by Israeli military intelligence, the Mossad, to plant bombs inside Egyptian, American, and British-owned civilian targets, cinemas, libraries, and American educational centers. The bombs were timed to detonate several hours after closing time. The attacks were to be blamed on the Muslim Brotherhood, Egyptian communists, and unspecified malcontents or local nationals, with the aim of creating a climate of sufficient violence and instability to induce the British government to retain its occupying troops in Egypt's Suez Canal. The operation caused no casualties among the population, but resulted in the death of 4 operatives. The overseer of the operation allegedly informed the Egyptians, after which 11 suspect operatives were arrested. 2 died by suicide after being captured. 2 were executed by the Egyptian authorities. 2 of them were acquitted at trial, and the remaining 5 received prison terms ranging from 7 years to life in prison. So this is something that Israel has done in the past. The Lavon Affair, USS Liberty, see our published work. They do conduct false flag operations. And here we have Tucker Carlson talking about this Israeli rabbi who is openly, they say openly plotting to shoot a missile into the Al-Aqsa Mosque and blame it on Iran. He's not plotting. He's not a military intelligentsia. But yeah, he's saying, why don't we shoot a rocket into that mosque and then blame Iran? Why don't we blame Iran and we'll get everything we want out of it? We'll blow up a mosque that we want to get rid of.
For the audience at home, what can give the importance of the Al-Aqsa Mosque?
Yeah, so the Al-Aqsa Mosque is occupying the Temple Mount in Jerusalem.
Yeah, it's the dome, or not? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Dome of the Rock. Israel wants to get rid of it so that they can rebuild the 4th temple. They want to call it the 3rd temple, but the 3rd temple was Herod's temple, and that's important when it comes to biblical prophecy. But yeah, these people very openly discuss among themselves the idea of false flag attacks, and they have done it in the past. So it's not beyond reason that these people would conduct this kind of warfare, false flag operations, and blame it on other people. And this is a conversation that I stumbled across between Ald Luth, which is a friend of ours, Old Lutheran, and Andrew Isker, friend of the show, also good dude. But he's talking about something, and he just drops this clip of Charlie Kirk. He says, "You're not thinking like a man with enough hubris to strike Iran during America's negotiations and expect America to hit them again for you harder, or attack American allies in the region with impunity. Do you agree with Charlie that they deliberately stood down on October 7th to allow a good dose of terror as a pretense for ethnic cleansing?" And I'm going to speed this up just a little bit because of how much time we've already spent on this.
The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story, I still had the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that's an IDF soldier. Right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu was basically redefining the Israeli constitution. That's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick. Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order?
And whistleblowers have come out and said, yes, there was a stand down order. As a matter of fact, not only were there stand down orders, but there were orders to kill their own civilians in order to prevent them being captured by Gaza terrorists, which is something that Israel does because they don't want hostages being taken. They would rather kill their own civilians than allow them to be taken hostage. And whistleblowers have come out and said that happened, and we have good reason to believe that did occur. So essentially what it comes down to is Israel has conducted these kind of attacks before. We do not have proof that they are the ones who are attacking Oman, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. But it certainly does seem like that is going on. And let's see, there was another clip in here somewhere that I wanted to bring up, and I'm just going to have to describe it to you because I cannot for the life of me find it. But essentially what we have is a guy in Qatar watches, he's looking at where the missile struck, and he was standing on the ground when they did, and he says, the missiles came from over there. All right, and he's pointing off in the distance, and he says, the missiles came from over there. If they came from Iran, Iran is across the Gulf. The Gulf of Persia is right here. You can see the water. Iran's over there. The missiles came from that way. If they came from that way, where'd they come from? Where'd they come from? And guys, where did they come from? He's standing right here, right? He's standing in Qatar. I believe he was in Qatar, and he's saying, look, guys, the water is here. The missiles came from that way. So who struck us? Was it Saudi Arabia? Was it Jordan? Was it Israel? Did they really shoot missiles from Lebanon and Syria all the way to Qatar across Saudi Arabia? Or did they come from Israel? Where did this come from? And the answer is it didn't come from Iran. These attacks did not come from Iran. So where did they come from? So we got dragged into a war, I want to remind people, because Israel was going to strike Iran. We got dragged into this war, and then immediately all of the people around Iran start getting attacked, and Iran says it wasn't us. We can see where they came from, and they all came from the general direction of Israel. We do not know for sure who launched those missiles and sent those drones to attack people. But we have very suspicious circumstances that all point to one country in the Middle East who has very good motives for wanting to drag everybody into this war. And that country is Israel. So I want to get into the next bit of this, which is where are we going in this war? All right. Everybody's trying to get dragged into this war. Israel's trying to drag everybody in. What are the consequences for this? Well, we've got, let me catch my breath and slow down my heart rate just a little bit. But we have Benny Gantz says, I'm not ruling out putting U.S. boots on the ground in Iran. And
do you think eventually there will be a need for boots on the ground?
I would not exclude it for those reasons or other, but we'll have to see how it goes forward.
And will that include Israeli boots on the ground, do you think?
I exclude nothing. We've been waiting for 47 years, and we came to a point every necessary means should be taken in order to achieve our goals.
What we're seeing from...
You know what that last part reminds me of? When he says, we've been waiting 47 years, is the way that the French, I want to say it was the French, like before World War I, where they would talk about like, the day of again. Am I getting that right? Like the details on that? Our buddy Conrad was telling me the story of that one time. Mm-hmm. The idea of like, ooh, I can't wait. Ooh, I want to fight, like dogs fighting like on the opposite sides of a gate. You know what I mean? Where they're like, ooh, I'm gonna get you when somebody opens this gate, I'm gonna get you. That's what that makes me sound like. We've been waiting 47 years for this, as if it's like some big culmination, like, oh, finally I get to kill some people.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, here I go, killing again. Yeah, and I mean, and Netanyahu has been saying that, you know, Iran is 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon since the 90s, since I was a baby, right? I mean, this is something that they've been wanting a war with Iran since the very beginning. And he's not ruling out boots on the ground. Now, there's a tactical reason to do this, all right? Never, all right, if you've read The Art of War, you never let your enemy know your intentions. Whether you're planning on sending boots on the ground in or not, you don't rule it out, okay? So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to send boots on the ground. But let me remind you that every Middle East war so far, we went to Iraq, we went to Afghanistan, we went to Libya, we've gone into Syria. We went into all these countries. You know what country was suspiciously not present on the front lines of these nations? Israel. England went with us. I mean, we had Baltic nations fighting in our armies in
Norway.
Norway
here's just guys I rode with in Afghanistan. Norway, Sweden, Germany. Who else was out there? Bunch of guys, a lot of European countries, actually, believe it or not. And there was an English guy I ran into at one point at a laundromat, I remember distinctly, because I gave him a quarter that he needed, and he was, oh, cheers, mate, that kind of thing. So I mean, like there were people out there, no Israelis though.
Yep. And from what our men say on the ground, you know, the Brits have been with us shoulder to shoulder, and they've been really great soldiers, great fellows in arms to have. Nothing but respect for those guys.
Yep.
But
in their tanks.
You know, speaking of not ruling things out, you know, here is Caroline Levitt says Trump might institute a draft.
Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons get in and daughters get involved in this. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now.
It has been, and it will continue to be. And President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table.
Mothers out there are worried.
All right, so we're not ruling out a draft. We're not ruling out boots on the ground. And boy, oh boy.
Can I say something about a draft?
Go ahead.
Because I've been thinking about this all week. We have a plethora of immigrants that we did not ask to come here, who have come here over the last, 20 years, since 9/11. For whatever reason, once Muslims blew our towers up, we said, please bring the Muslims in. We got a whole bunch of those people we can throw at the lines. We got a whole bunch of South American, Central American, Mexican, all these people groups just jumping our border. Send those people. first, before any heritage American, send all those people, all these Indians that come in and somehow buy up entire neighborhoods in Texas. Send all those people. There's your draft. Make those people fight. All these other people here have at least one ancestor who's fought in an American war, because that's what Americans do. We just keep on fighting. Like the percentage of time that we have spent as a nation fighting wars, it's like over 90%. Like our entire history is just us at war all the time. Time for new blood. Y'all want some ethnogenesis? Go and fight for it. You go and fight this war. Why do we have, again, hyphenated Americans? Iranian Americans are so happy about this regime change. Send those people over there to fight. You want this dude overthrown so bad, you go throw your kid at this war, because we're tired, dude.
Well, not to bury the lead here, but a lot of those Iranian Americans, ethnically Jewish. There's been a lot of digging on Twitter, people posting and being like, wait a minute, this person who says they're an Iranian and they're so happy with the war in Iran and the regime change war, you dig into their Twitter and they're celebrating Yom Kippur and they're celebrating Hanukkah. It's like, wait a minute, if you're Iranian, why are you doing this? You're not Persian. Your family came from Persia, but you're not Persian. And I want to say some things about this guy. Inevitable West. Do not follow Inevitable West. But he says, breaking, Donald Trump has done the impossible. He has boots on the ground in Iran, and they are not Western. Iraqi Kurds have stepped up and pledged allegiance to the United States. This is undeniably genius, all caps. And he's talking about this report from Fox News that Iraqi Kurds have launched a ground offensive in Iran. This is my comment. You are an Indian. All right. Inevitable West is not an American. He's not even Western. He is an Indian. He is always for everything pro-Israel. He's a silly Pajit. Ignore him.
That picture under there.
Yeah. Never forget who you are fighting for. And he's got a picture of Epstein in his helmet. Yeah. This is
by the way,
that's guys.
Like, I know that's that picture idea of like, oh, I got a picture in my helmet kind of thing. That's an awful place for there to be a picture there, because there's a circular pad that's supposed to be there first and foremost, and it's Velcro. And second of all, you will sweat that away in all of 2 days. In a heartbeat. Yeah. There's a lumberjack that I follow a lot of his stuff on YouTube, and he talks about where does he store his toilet paper? Because when you're a fire jumper, you go into the middle of nowhere. There's not toilets out there. And he said, I store my toilet paper in my helmet. And people are like, dude, how do you stop it from getting soaking wet? He's like, guys, Ziploc bags exist, right? But anyway, I would not put it there.
Yeah. But anyway, the comments under this are very interesting. Syrian girl who is a Syrian living in Australia, but she's pretty on top of Syrian news. She says, rumors spread by Israel denied by the Kurds. And she posts this. Barak Ravid, who is some sort of Kurdish high muckety muck. He says, Kurdish Iranian militias started a ground offensive in northwest Iran. A U.S. official tells me. Barak Ravid. I believe this guy's Jewish. And then Arya Yarechar, or however you pronounce this, Iranian guy, says both Iranian and Kurdish sources deny any attack. The Israeli 8200 intelligence agent Barak Ravid deleted this tweet. Quick PSYOP hit and run. So there was another post. Let me see if I have it in the show notes. I don't guess I have it, but there was an official Kurdish guy come out and say, no, we have not launched any invasion into Iran. And the reasons he listed for it is because the Kurds have been fighting shoulder to shoulder with us in all of our Middle Eastern wars, because we promised them that we would give them the nation of Kurdistan, which, if we go back to this map here, Kurdistan would occupy the area here between the rivers in Turkey, Eastern Turkey, northeastern Syria and northwestern Iraq. This area here roughly would be Kurdistan. This is the very Kurdish area. And we've had them fighting in Iraq, in Syria. They've been fighting in our armies because we promised them a Kurdistan. They haven't received it yet, and they're a bit salty. And why would they not be? I mean, this is betrayal, right? They've been doing this for 20 years. They haven't gotten what they want. So why would they bleed and die for us again? They've got kind of the same fatigue that we do. Like, what is the purpose of these forever wars if we get nothing for it? But let's just argue for the sake of, let's just say for the sake of argument that the Kurds are on our side, right? He posts, Inevitable West. This is undeniably genius, that we've got the Kurds fighting on our side. And Anarcho-Christian posts, this sort of genius has happened before. And he's just posting newspapers from the 1980s of anti-Soviet warrior puts his army on the road to peace. And who is this guy? Oh, yeah, that's Osama bin Laden. Oh, okay. News headline from 93. So not the 80s, but the 90s. But yeah, this anti-Soviet rebel that we're arming. If you remember, the reason Osama bin Laden attacked the United States was because we promised him all these things and then we didn't give them to him. And he got salty about it and attacked us, allegedly. So if that was Osama bin Laden's reasoning for why he wanted to attack the United States, and now the Kurds are letting it be known that they're kind of done with us, they're not going to fight and die in our wars anymore, what exactly are we supposed to make of that? So this is very common, and it's getting old. The people are not happy. Americans don't want this war. Left, right, center. We don't want this war. Gas prices are going up because of this. Americans don't like that. Americans the average American just wants to grill. He wants to go fishing on the weekends. And when you make his gas prices go up, he can't do that, right? So Americans don't want this war. The Iranians don't want this war. The Kurds don't want this war. The Qataris don't want this war. The only people who want this war are the Israelis. The dancing Israelis who get excited every time we get attacked. And just to kind of put the nail in the coffin, these are a little bit random, but I wanted to play this because it's interesting.
Are you playing? You're not playing it, Jeff. Put it up on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me add this to the stage. I got quiet for a second because I was playing a video, but this is the state of news right now.
Go up there. We're not showing you that because we're not going to show. The Israeli government does not allow us or want us to show where that may have come up, that interceptor. But I'm not going to go up there.
So talking about interceptors shooting down missiles over Israel, and they're not showing that. CNN, not going to show any evidence that might hurt Israel's effectiveness. And, there are tactical reasons for this, so I don't want to make this too big, but it is interesting that, Israel gets to tell us what to do. And here's another example of that. Right now we've got, on Monday, Netanyahu called White House officials and asked if such talks or exchanges of messages happened. And the White House told Netanyahu that Trump administration wasn't talking to the Iranians behind his back. So one would suppose that, we're in a war and we want it to be brought to a close, that, there would be talks or something. But, as soon as there were rumors that there might be a talk between Trump and Iran, Israel asked about it, and we were quick to tell them, oh, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry, bro. That's not happening. We are not, don't worry. We're not talking to people behind your back. You don't need to be worried about it. Israel is playing the tune right now. And something I want to cover real quick, because we have been going on this for a while, but also this week we sank an Iranian war vessel that was not in the Gulf of Persia. It was not in the Strait of Hormuz. It was off the coast of India. It was invited to a military exercise. It was not allowed to be armed. It had no weapons on board, no ammunition, not even machine gun ammunition was allowed on this vessel. It was brought to India for an exercise, and on its way home, we sank it. And it turns out that the reason that it got sunk is because as soon as it left the strait, or as soon as it left the exercise, India got on the phone, rang up Israel and said, hey, by the way, here's this boat, this Iranian boat. You should really do something about that. And America got up and went and did something about that. So, yeah, we are behaving treacherously. We are bombing.
Was this the one that we hit with the torpedo?
Yeah. First torpedo sinking of a vessel since World War II. But it was an unarmed training vessel with trainees aboard. For all intents and purposes, it was not a military vessel. It was not a military target. Some would say that this was a war crime, and Iran has been saying that this is a war crime. I'm not ready to come out and say it was a war crime, but it was definitely underhanded. And the way that India just sold out their allies because they were doing this as a gesture to Iran. Hey, by the way, this boat is over here, come sink it, which is essentially what they did. And then we went and blew it up. So, India, ever the friend of Israel and ever the scam artists, do not trust Indians. And unrelated, but just wanted to hit a few of these points. Israel budgets tens of millions of dollars to ship Middle Eastern refugees into Europe. Our greatest ally, in the Middle East, they are investing $66 million, a third of their entire budget, to get refugees into Europe. And we have played clips of Israelis on the shores of Italy, pulling people out of dinghies, getting them into Europe. This is standard Jewish behavior. And speaking of standard Jewish behavior, do you remember all those $7,000 bribes that everybody on Twitter was talking about, Sean?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody on Twitter, it got revealed that all of these pro-Israel tweets that everybody was doing all of a sudden, it was because Israel came to influencers, which is the word we're using for terminally online people with some sort of digital following. Yeah. We're being paid $7,000 per post. Yeah, not us. We are online influencers, except we don't have a following. But, we are not getting the Israel bucks because we are not posting pro-Israel stuff, but also because we are not noticeable enough for them to care one way or the other about us. But speaking of Jewish behavior, breaking: Israeli officials allegedly hired social media influencers for $7,000 per post, which, by the way, a while back, that was translating pretty evenly to 30 pieces of silver, failed to pay them, are now facing lawsuits totaling millions of dollars over unpaid invoices. So remember how I said, don't trust Indians? The flip side of that is don't trust Israelis, don't trust Jews, especially when it comes to money. If they're promising to give you money, chances are you are never going to see a penny of that. So, here is the post for that, calculist.co.il. Yeah, they promised these people tons and tons of money, and what did they turn out being? For those of you who have seen this movie, they turned out being a monster that consumes. They actually don't want to give you anything. They want to, take the money and run.
Yeah, a quote from Dostoevsky. Am I pronouncing that right? Comes to mind when he says, "Your worst sin is that you've destroyed and betrayed yourself for nothing."
Yeah. You sold yourself out and you didn't even get paid at the end.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $7,000. Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. Believe it or not, straight to jail. All right. Well, got that.
I've got a white pill. I got a white pill.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I need a white pill right now, Sean.
Oh man, you know what? I might have just. Oh, it's not there. Well, I was going to share it, but while it's not there anymore, the Gospel of John was just trending. It actually showed up in some of your screenshots. I was really, that was really cool to see. Our gospel reading, and consequently the sermon today was from the Gospel of John. I love the Gospel of John, dude. You know, it's really, I think we tend to forget that we have this thing. Like I was kind of running back and forth. I heard my daughter screaming in the back. I had to run back there. For those who don't know, she has autism. We have to keep her kind of away because she'll just like start screaming. But
yeah, and not like we have autism, but actually, you know,
no, like legit. Yeah, the legit kind. And anyways, I was running back and forth, but like as they were reading like the readings from today, I was like mouthing it to myself. Like I knew I was so familiar with it, but it, you know, because if you've read the Bible like a million times, especially like certain passages in the Gospels, like you ingrain it so much, it can kind of backfire at times, and you kind of like, man, like it's just crazy that we have this these accounts.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally miraculous.
Yeah, it's just really, really cool to have that. So that was just cool seeing that pop up. Gospel of John was trending, so I was looking at what people were saying. People just talking about how great the Gospel of John is. So I don't know if that had to do with the church calendar and the readings, but
probably had something to do with it.
Yeah, it's cool.
But you know who's not a fan of the Gospel of John? Very, very anti-Semitic. The Gospel of John should come with a disclaimer. Some say.
Yeah, I love that discussion every year. That people are just like, we need to get, you know, or the Gospel of John's anti-Semitic. Hell yes, like, you know what I mean? Like, just lean into it. Just lean into that wind, and
because Jesus says some not very nice things about the Jews.
Yeah,
and he would know because one, he's a Jew, and two, he's God, so he would know. All right. Well, with that, let's circle back into comments. We've got the other Paul says, yeah, totally get that it's for the other people. However, I think it's better done by being more forceful and pointing out their contradictions in such a way that doesn't even pretend they're rational. Yeah, I mean, I think
what I'm. Mm-hmm. Oh, what I'm asking is of the audience. The question you will not see him answer is this. It's, you know, going in high school, I was the co-captain of our high school's debate team. And that was like a big, like that always won well with the judges. It's like, I'm asking you judges, has he answered this question? And of course you have to be in a position where he has not answered the question. You just have to make sure that you highlight that. This question will not go answered. I promise you. And when you point that out, like John Reesner, what exactly was the question about? Oh, the blood ties of ethnicity as a core. Who denies that? Why would you deny that? You'd have to be in, I mean, or asking the question like, what makes Shakespeare English? Because the English at this moment in time like him, like, or you know what I mean? Like what makes these things?
Well, and then also when I pointed this out too, when it came to the whole Eli McGowan and the black church that is for the black people, but you can't have a white church for the white people. And, you know, people were pointing out the tired old slogan of if the shoe was on the other foot. And I was saying, guys, the only time shoe on the other foot argumentation works is when you dialectically trap them. You know, for example, the AI turning it into white people and just changing every word from black to white. If you get somebody to respond, oh, this is bad, and then you hit them with, oh, I just swapped it, you know.
Yeah.
That's effective because you get them to condemn themselves. But if you're just sitting back and whining and saying, oh, well, what if the shoe was on the other foot? That's not as effective. So you have, there are ways to do this argumentation, but you have to be clever about it. And he follows up with example, do you believe deny X and sustaining that line of dialogue still acts as though they are rational, will change their minds? Rather, it should be, you deny or believe X. How stupid, for example. Yeah.
I also did
the
that.
purpose is scorn. Yeah.
Yeah. I also did that. Called him a fat retard.
Exactly.
I think like 10 times in this episode. I'm going to make that one stick. I want that to be the thing that people like comment. If nothing else, if you're just like, oh, what an idiot, just drop a comment, fat retard. Don't even make an argument, fat retard.
Check for Tunnel says something like gospel of rice is what they
I think
call it.
prosperity gospel is what is the term you were looking for.
Yes, prosperity gospel. Give me your money and God will bless you, or the gospel of rice, which is where, if you give me all your money, God will make your rice grow. And that is, we have a term for that in the legal world. It's called fraud. Okay. Yeah. There are 3 ways to say yes in medieval French: si in the south, oui in the center, and ok in the north. Yeah, talking about how the French in the north are not the same as the French in the south. Yeah, but today, that France has become very homogenous. Parisian French has taken over France. They had an ethnogenesis at one point in time, and now whenever you say French, people know what you mean. They know that you mean Parisian French. So yeah, every nation has an ethnogenesis, and they come out of that into something more fully formed over time. The wait, you're going to hit us was because you said we're going to hit the comments. Yeah, not talking about ballistic missiles, guys. We're not going to hit the comments with ballistic missiles. We're just going to read them.
The hits came from the direction of Israel.
John C. Barsoom says, are we sure Sean became a Lutheran because people on the net changed his mind, or did he become Lutheran because he was a sort of person who enjoys arguing theology with people on the internet?
Actually, the story is pretty interesting. So, and this is just the way I tell it. Maybe I'm not the most objective person about this, but I was Baptist, obviously, from the moment I became a Christian, which was at the age of like 13. So I was roughly 20 years a Baptist, and I would fight with Presbyterians mostly about infant baptism. I didn't usually fight Lutherans or Anglicans, and so the argument with Presbyterians was always a matter of like covenant stuff, right? Like you have the wrong view of the covenant, therefore you have the wrong view of baptism. And to this day, I still believe that's just a poor argument. I couldn't even make that argument for infant baptism. And what happened was I actually stepped away from being online. I wasn't on Twitter at all at the time. I was very heavily on Facebook, and I would get in these debates. And basically, the only reason I didn't become a Paedo-Baptist was because the only argument I was hearing at the time was the Presbyterian argument. And that argument is so bad that I was like, well, Paedo-Baptism's stupid because this is the worst argument I've ever heard in my life. And so I got away from the internet, and then I started reading like the Book of Concord and reading some Luther. And I don't know why exactly that was a thing, but it got me to, for some reason, I became open to it and started reading. I don't have the Lutheran Book of Prayer. What is the...
I have yet to crack these. They came in the mail this week, or between shows, but it's not dissimilar from this book here. Only kind of the Lutheran version of it.
I figured it would be something.
Daily readings, services, etc. And
I have that within the Lutheran service book, so maybe that's a better version of it. I don't know. Either way, that's what happened. It was actually stepping away from Facebook and online for like 6 months, and letting all the Presbyterians like pounding at me, putting my guard down and just kind of doing my thing. And I found that to be a more
just a more convincing argument. Yeah.
And then it snowballed from there. But it's like, well, wait a second. Well, what's the deal? Surely their view of the Lord's Supper is silly, right? And I start reading, I'm like, man, that actually kind of makes sense. And it snowballed from there. But yeah,
And,
that's so it's actually the lack of time that I spent on the internet at that point in my life that made me Lutheran.
Yeah, but it got started on the internet. Yeah.
For sure.
Yellow Moth comes in. He says, D.G. Hart is Daryl Hart. He's a professor at Hillsdale, and I think he wrote a book. I like how John Reisner's argument is that Christian nationalists aren't as racist as he wants us to be.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah, your argument is you are not sufficiently racist. Well, I'm sorry. I'm trying my best, okay?
Let me say this, though. They have a wrong... I guess there is no right definition of racism, but their idea of racism, the definition that they run with, because it's a made-up word that's like 100 years old.
Very recent.
Their definition of that includes hatred. It has to include hatred. And because we don't have that, we don't hate individuals because their neighbors are idiots, right? There's even when we say, hey, we just really don't want to live by you because you're just going to bring down our quality of life. That's not hatred. That's not me saying I hate you. That's me saying I love my neighbors now. I love my children. I want them to grow up in a safe neighborhood, and I want them to live amongst safe people. Is that shine or is that water?
That's water. That's good old gooseberry wine.
Oh, okay. So that I think that's where it comes from. It's not that we're not as racist, because we are as racist as it gets. Like we literally play in the after show, we play ethno guesser and do stuff like that. Like we study racism because we believe race exists. Like that's really what racism is. It's either the belief that your race or your nation, which is what that word means. Like that was the original. We're talking about French words. The French people who came up with nationalist were basically saying like, oh, we're racist. We care about our race. And then some Jews
nationalist and natalist are essentially the same word. It means your nationality is the people of your birth.
Yeah. And then my other thing to Daryl Hart, if he's watching this, do you know what team has the most championships from Philadelphia? That'd be these boys right here, the Athletics, who haven't been there in like 70 years,
and they still hold the championship.
5 World Series championships in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Nick Unplugged Christian says, "Winning hearts and minds, DS." We're in it to win.
Winning hearts and minds, Drill Sergeant.
Yeah. That's how's that working out for you, man? And let's see.
These are
Check for Tunnels just has a list of nations. Georgia.
Go Dogs. Ho, ho.
Not that Georgia, I don't think.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Because Austria, Poland,
Australia.
Canada. Yeah, Australia. I mean, Australia, sorry. Each one of these nations have an ethnogenesis, right? I believe that's what he's getting at. And then he says, Willy Wonka, you lose, you get nothing. Good day, sir. Yeah, that's what we've got in the Middle East, guys. You lose, you get nothing. Good day, sir. All that blood and treasure, which I don't mind the treasure so much, but the blood I really don't appreciate. I mean, there's nothing that my chimping out can do about all the billions of dollars that we're sending into the Middle East. But I would appreciate it if at least Americans didn't have to die for nothing. I would really appreciate that. Simeon Bradley says, talking to my sister-in-law about John coupled with Colossians and Proverbs, Christ is that which is the standard for all things. Right. He is the good shepherd. He is the great firstborn among many brethren, to which we all aspire. Be like Paul as Paul is like Christ, right? We all want to be like Christ in our life. That's the example set before us.
Have I ever given you my Greek analysis on the word for good in Good Shepherd in Jump In?
I don't think so.
My Greek teacher was the one who pointed this out to me. The word for good is not the word for like morally good. it's the word for like beautiful. I forget exactly which one it is. Is it kakos? I don't know. But it's the word for like beautiful instead of like morally good. And his argument, which I think is a good argument, is that Jesus is saying that he is the standard for which excellence is reached. Like he is
Right.
the model shepherd. And I think that's just really cool, man.
Excellent.
Cool things.
And Check for Tunnels talking about rhetorical traps. He says the example of woe quoting scripture and attributing it to Luther. When you're arguing with Romans or with Eastern Christians.
I think it was an Eastern Orthodox guy.
Yeah. And he just quoted Romans and attributed it to Luther. And the guy said, well, that's heresy. And he said, oh, my bad. That's not Luther. That's Romans. That's St. Paul, the person that you profess to adore. But you do not do the works that he does because you condemn it as heresy. Yeah. No. You are only, like some have said about the Pope, you are only, you follow Peter only in his denial of Christ. There are certain things that the Reformation brought back to the church that were being lost. Not that had been completely lost, but were being lost. The Reformation was not a reconstitution of the church. It was a return to form. It was a return to that which built the church, which is the scriptures. Yellow Moth says, do not redeem. Do not read. What are you doing? Do not redeem. Don't trust Indians, guys. Recently in my town, people have been posting on Facebook and in the neighborhood apps. They're finding a lot of these card strippers on 7-Elevens. And I just dropped in the comments, guys, it's only ever at the gas stations that are run by Indians. So don't go to the gas stations that are run by Indians, because people were pointing out in the comments, hey, the staff seem to be involved. Like the card stripper wasn't battery operated and stuck on. Like it had a power cord coming from the pump, which means that people in the store who are running the card stripper. And I said, guys, I know that 7-Eleven, it's run by Indians. Have you ever noticed it's always the Indians who are running the card strippers? And if you are on Twitter and you see those videos where at the cash register, they'll have the card strippers, it's always Indians behind the desk. Don't trust them. It's like that Kipling poem. My people might be bad, but they're the kind of bad that I'm used to. Yep. Right. In Indian culture, they know that there are card strippers and they go around it. In our culture, we don't live like that. And I don't want to live like that. I don't want to bring in. When I bring them in, I bring their good stuff, but I bring their bad stuff, and I don't want it. I don't want that in my country. John C. Barsoom says, even when Sean was Baptist, I knew he was predestined to become Lutheran.
Yeah. Okay, buddy.
Yeah. Although I do think it's funny that you start digging into your lineage and you're like, wait a minute, all of my ancestors are Lutheran.
That is a trip. And that goes to, I think your brother might have said something about that in here where he said something like, I thought Sean was German. Well, yeah, I'm a bit of
Germanic, but not German proper. Yeah. Nordic.
Some of the Lutheran people did come from, like, some of those ancestors did come straight from Germany. Like their baptism records are in Germany.
Cool.
My mother's maiden name started in Germany as Vogel, which is bird, I believe.
Yep.
So that and then it changed within America because they're probably illiterate and couldn't spell it correctly.
or because spelling standardization. I mean, you remember how Luther had like 3 or 5 different ways of spelling his name that he did in his own hand, because spelling was not standardized until the Empire. Yeah.
He would have a Latin name that he would sign, and then he would have other, anyways.
Check for Tunnels again says their definition also assumes that any belief in differences among people automatically equals hatred. Probably some projection there. Yeah. I mean, in the UK right now, there's a lot of talk about foreigners people who are from Djibouti, literally Djibouti people. I don't know what you call somebody from Djibouti, a Djiboutite, saying, am I not English? And the person on the other side of the table is like, you were born here, but your parents are not from here, and you don't even sound like an Englishman. You're obviously not English. English is an ethnicity, and you are not it. And that's not a bad thing. It's okay. Be proud of who you are, but be who you are. Don't try to be something you're not. Check for Tunnel says, no, those countries sent troops to Iraq, and I crossed paths with them. Yeah. Lots of, so the Georgia and Australia. These are countries that sent people to Iraq where he was stationed and, fought alongside us. Notice he didn't say that there were any Israelis. No Israelis in these wars that are being fought for Israel. And then Sir Vilder, water is Ganswein, not gooseberry wine. The latter is a true alcoholic drink. Well, my bad. It's goose wine, not gooseberry wine, because I think a gooseberry is, I think in English the phrase is duckberry wine. But anyway, Yellow Moss says, my biggest concern is that Christians think it's racist to want justice to be served out fairly to different races. And he clarifies, I mean to every race. Yeah. I mean, if you're seeking justice for people, suddenly that's racist. How does that wash? Yeah. Scroll down a little bit, skip some of these. He says, Check for Tunnel says there shouldn't be women in the military at all, and that would fix the APFT problem. That would certainly fix a lot of problems. One of the things that I did note with our airplanes that got shot down, first off, did you see it was an Indian that shot down our airplanes, I believe, over Yemen? And also, at least one of, if not multiple of those fighter jet pilots were females. And there were people online being like, tell me again that women shouldn't be in the military. Look at how they handled themselves. And I'm like, no, women shouldn't be in the military. Maybe if it was guys, they wouldn't have got shot down. But I'm speculating. I've never flown any kind of airplane. Check for Tunnel says, unless we're talking about making the standard equal for all ages, but old guys appreciate the PT test getting easier the older you get.
Oh, boy, I appreciated it. Once I turned like 22 or something like that, boy, I needed that extra minute and a half on my 2 mile.
Yeah. But, I mean, I don't have a problem with having different standards for different levels. I mean, officers don't necessarily need to be held to the same standard as sergeants because officers aren't necessarily doing the same things as sergeants.
So the standard, there's actually a bit of a misnomer, I think, with some people about that age standard. So the minimum requirement to pass is different from the overall scale. At least it was at the time. And so at 22, you're out of that hardest bracket. But what happens is like push-ups and sit-ups, I think, would go up in order to max out. So you didn't have to do as many to pass, but you had to do a lot more to hit that 300, that perfect 300. And it was the same with like running and all that. So it was kind of a double-edged sword. Like, yeah, you can, if you're trying to stay in for 20 years, like you can be a little bit of a fat body as you go through, but you're not going to rank up as easy because it's harder as you get older. Anyways.
Yellow Moss says, keep cash on you in case you're forced to fuel up at an Indian gas station and prepay $20. Cash is king, guys. Keep some cash on you. And it won't, don't worry about it. Tell the hobo that you don't have any cash on you and walk away with a clean conscience. Yeah. But keep some cash on you for really hard. Actually, there was a funny story about that. I was on my way home from work fueling up, and a lady came up to me, and I use the word lady a little bit loosely, but she, big fat lady, big fat white girl, meth mouth, all that. And she says, hey, could I, my daughter, she's hungry. Could you get us some McDonald's at the gas station McDonald's? I'm like, you know what? I don't have any cash on me, and I may or may not have had cash on me, but I said, I can't give you any cash right now. but I'll buy you a burger. After I get done fueling up, I'll go over there and I'll buy you a burger. Well, I get done fueling up like 5 minutes later because I'm in a big old vehicle with a big fuel tank. And she's gone, right? She didn't want the burger. She wanted cash to fuel her drug addictions. And so she came to me with a sob story. And like I said in the Wisdom of My Father episodes, your previous work, don't try to tell them it's not as bad as you think, or you don't actually have it as bad as you think you do. Don't do that. Okay, it serves nobody. If you're able to help, offer help that will not fuel their degeneracy. Offer to buy them food, because food is okay. They can't get high off of food, but don't give druggies money. All right, just don't do it. Okay. Yellowmoss says, I'm German Reformed, RCUS, and my ancestors were from right near Heidelberg, like the Heidelberg Catechism. Yeah. I looked it up. RCUS churches in Texas. There is one in Sherman, Texas, which is not anywhere near me. So
Sherman, Texas is northeast of Dallas.
Yeah. So I might visit an RCUS church at some time. That'd be cute. That'd be cool. But I am not a Lutheran, but I am Calvinistic. I am a 1689 Baptist, although I have my problems with the 1689. So we'll see where I land in the coming years. He says, but also they were Catholic, so I assume my ancestors ruthlessly persecuted the authors. Yeah. We've all got mixed heritage, man. Yeah. He's talking to Jack Fratellis. He says Georgia is actually a state, not a country. The nation state of Georgia is in fact a state. That is correct. And have you seen that meme? I think I've posted it before, where it's like, Joseph Stalin was a Georgian. That's right, the sweet son of the South. And they've got a Photoshop Stalin in a CSA uniform. Just kind of having a lark. But John Barson says it wasn't an Indian. That was a rumor from a Pakistani account. It was a Kuwaiti pilot, and it seems very likely it was intentional. Well, I mean, if you shoot down 5, I mean that, if you shoot down 5 and you're not even over Iran, chances are it could well have been intentional. But we can't read minds, especially not from the other side of the world. He says, better than cash is checks, so they have to report it. But best of all is not giving money in any form to foreigners taking advantage of us. Don't give checks to foreigners. I disagree. Yeah, cash is king. Yeah. Do not give checks to foreigners. They will copy them. They will forge your signature. And that's as bad as a credit card skimmer. Don't do it. And last one for tonight, Simeon Bradley says, to be a baby dunker, I'd have to accept baptismal regeneration.
Well, first, so that actually was the big thing, was when I say that I started doing reading, I looked into the arguments for baptismal regeneration, and that became the thing that convinced me of paedobaptism. So I actually agree with that. I think that's very insightful, because that was something I said to myself all those times when I was Baptist and I would argue with Presbyterians. They would always say, like, well, the earliest Christians were paedobaptists, or they're arguing, at least they're saying, like, well, when people were talking about it in like 300, 400, something like that, it's not the earliest Christians, but historically it's very early. And I would say, yeah, but they were paedobaptists because they held to baptismal regeneration. And then that, in my mind, was that was where the argument ended.
That's the kill shot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But when someone, it's like I think about this a lot. It's verbal judo kind of thing, but I think of it in terms of actual martial arts, because I had a teacher that was very like philosophical about everything, and he was talking about how you take what people give you, and he was saying that in the form of an argument that he had with someone, but it was also relative to what we were learning at the time. And he was just talking about how someone would say, yeah, but you did this. He's like, yes, I did. Give me that. I did do that. Like, so that was kind of what ended up happening with paedobaptism with me, where I'm like, yeah, but I'd have to be or I would have to hold the baptismal regeneration. And, Lutherans are like, yes, hold to that. Yeah. Like, so it sucked me in once it really just made a lot of sense after that. So I agree. It wouldn't be Baby Dunker. It'd be
Baby Sprinkler. Yeah.
Pourer or something like that. We do the seashell, which I think is or a clamshell, whatever. It's so weird. I don't know how that got associated, but it's to the point it's so associated within Lutheran circles that like our stained glass imagery for the sacraments has, like a cup and then like wafers of bread that's what the stained glass shows. And then it shows water coming from the clamshell. And I'm like, if I didn't know that was how Lutherans do it, like I would never associate that with.
And I don't know the origins of it, but I do think it's funny because as a kid, I lived in Germany, and the only time I ever went to the coast was when we visited Denmark. Like, Germany is not a country known for having a coastline. I mean, not this century anyway, and not ocean-faring people. We're Germans. We are very land-bound people. I'm very German in my attitudes and my views in life. I love hiking. I like water. It's fun. But if you gave me a choice between hiking or going out on a boat, I'm going to hike every single time. So where that came from, who knows? But it is very much a part of Lutheran iconography at this point in time.
Let's not go further in the. Let's just close.
All right, yeah, let's close it out. We've been going for almost 2.5 hours. So let's close it out, folks. We appreciate y'all being here. If you are a supporter in the Father tier, there will be an after show, and we look forward to seeing you there. Everybody else, thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, listen to us on your podcast. The RSS feed link is in the description, and we appreciate everything that you do, keeping this show on the air. And we love doing this. We do this as a labor of love. We're not making money. All right. We are in the red, very solidly in the red. We do this because we love you guys and you guys love us. And we really, really could not appreciate that more. But folks, go to bed, because tomorrow is the day that God has prepared good works for you to do. And you need to get some rest so that you can do them. I know I'm going to be at work tomorrow and I'm going to be hating myself like I do every Monday, but it's a good thing. God has prepared good works for you to do. So go to bed. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Good night and